Hey Dan, some time back we were talking about the move in the ACT to decriminalise illicit drugs. Well, in this past week, that legislation has passed. Give us your insights into what's happened.
Well, you mentioned global elites. I mean, this is a classic. This is a situation where you have the idea that hallucinatory drugs in the ACT are legal. Obviously, you've got a Greens ALP government. You have no upper house here. There's 500,000 people in the ACT, so it's probably like a small local council in Melbourne or Sydney, but made a significant law, and so people are now free to smoke, grow their own marijuana, and it's the first in Australia. We've not seen this make any ingress in Australia before, so it's definitely disappointing for the health of Australians. And, part of a bundle of progressive policies that the Greens are keen to see roll out across the country. So, sad to be noting it, but it is what it is. Very challenging.
As I understand it, the penalty now for possession will be a caution, a $100 fine, or a referral to a drug program. I think people on the spot get a chance to choose, don't they? I mean, this is pretty significant when you've got such low penalties for what we might all appreciate are such dangerous drugs.
Yeah, if you speed in Canberra, the fines are around about $300. So, a $100 fine is a small infringement notice. That's all it is. But they're basically saying, look, this will be, cautions or referrals to drug programs, but it's decriminalised in every possible way. These, obviously, it's not simply marijuana, it's in cocaine, amphetamines, so there's LSD, if you can believe it. So it's a lot broader than marijuana, it's a very disturbing matter. And contrary to the advice of the Australian Federal Commissioner of Police, Reece Kershaw, who said that this will make it difficult for police to combat the rise of cocaine and heroin use. And he said, look, these are not recreational drugs. So, a really damaging week in the ACT.
So from where we sit, I mean, you're in Canberra, and right now, if you were in possession with a small quantity of those drugs, that would be quite legal, whether you're a Christian or not a Christian. So there's going to be some ethics questions here, and churches are going to be needing to address all sorts of things, won't they, from the pulpit? There's all sorts of issues that relate to how Christians will learn how to think about that in the ACT.
Well, there absolutely is, Neil, and I think that, the family is the bedrock of society, and these type of drugs, they tear families apart. Anyone who's had their kids on cocaine or amphetamines knows the destruction they bring. It wasn't that long ago until Labor governments around the country were declaring war on drugs and war on ice. Well, no longer. They're opening the gate for it. So a very concerning development and something that people should really note. If Christians have a leaning towards voting for the Greens, this is what you get when the Greens are in power.
And it's not as though they're just testing the waters and there's no evidence for what happens. I've mentioned before in some updates talking about this issue. I've been to the United States. I've been to the state of California. I've seen what happens with homelessness, which is really related to the decriminalisation of drugs there. It's not as though there's not evidence that there's all sorts of dreadful things that happen to a society when this sort of legalisation takes place. Clearly, though, our legislators are not taking any cues from what's already happened in other nations.
No, well, I think they might refer to the concerns that you and I and your listeners would have as sort of a moral panic. And so it's just all about letting down the guards on drugs, euthanasia, abortion, gender, anything that is some sort of perhaps godly boundary. They must go in this sort of pursuit of an atheist utopia. That's what it is, Neil. That's what they're after.